Good morning, Elaine. Thank you for joining me
Morning, James.
this lovely morning. So I'm just going to talk about payroll
Mhm.
and kind of pretty much everything to do with it, and you're going to explain, hopefully, what payroll is. So I think first question is, what is the payroll department?
All right. Well, the payroll department is an area whereby you collect information of which is to be reported to the government and other government bodies. And essentially, it captures the details of an employee's earnings, the tax, the NI, the pension, anything that needs to be reported in respect of somebody that's been paid by the business.
And do you do that on a weekly, monthly, fortnight? How often do you need to do that?
You do it in accordance with the company that you're working for, that you're operating a service for. So if they choose a pay frequency that says they want to pay their staff weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually, you process in accordance with their instructions.
Okay. And as the manager of the payroll department, who is Elaine Lynch?
Elaine is somebody who has worked in payroll for many years, and I know it sounds boring, but I thoroughly enjoy it. I still enjoy it now, despite the fact it has changed a great deal. But it's something that I'm passionate about, I enjoy, and I hope I will continue to enjoy it, despite all the complexities that go with it.
Oh, yeah, I know. You do seem to have a little twinkle in your eye when there's an issue and you're like, oh, this is how you solve it, which is great.
Yeah.
And what is the department's goals and objectives for this coming year?
Right, for this current year, our focus is on our new payroll software called Payroll. That is now a cloud-based system, of which really a lot of companies are moving towards that now because they appreciate that it's a more adaptable. It is the way that the world is going in terms of security, etc. And I know people are going to say, how do you know it's 100% secure? But it is. You make it, all the checks that you put in place, all the added roles and responsibilities that are in place will kind of roll you in to make sure that things are done correctly, accurately, and posted in accordance with what the requirements are from the government.
Okay. And this new software is live now, and we're using that for clients?
Yeah, we're using it for clients. It's live now. We are weaning off the current system that we use. I will add here that part of what we do as well, and it's a case of if we're considering clients that come to us and say, actually, we're not thinking of going to something like PayCircle, but we use this. Now, we need help with that. We can also provide that service to clients. So if they say they're processing payroll on Xero and they don't want to move necessarily to PayCircle, we've actually got that expertise in-house. So we continue with the training and the knowledge centre of those certain payroll softwares.
So you and your team are trained on various different softwares.
Correct.
And able to help clients if they do their payroll internally.
Yes.
Where you can say, okay, you're using this system, but if you need any support and help and guidance
Correct.
with that, we're able to be able to provide that support.
Correct.
Okay. And how have you helped clients in the past?
Various ways, actually. It's not just a case of processing basic payroll, i.e. the client advises us of what they want to be paid to staff. We actually analyse it, review it, and if we feel that there are mistakes, we can add value by going back to the client, having a conversation with them to say that if you process in accordance with your instructions, this will be the output and there will be consequences. So it's a communication that is fluid, and in terms of making sure that the client is happy, we stay on board with the continuation of making sure that we can provide them with any additional support that they need. HR areas, setting up new PAYE schemes, setting up pension schemes. So, they come to us for that as well.
So you provide everything from start to finish pretty
Correct.
much for that. And you're kind of the, should we say, middleman between the client and HMRC when it comes to their payroll services and their taxes that they need to pay to HMRC. So you're providing them with details on how much tax they have to pay on a monthly or quarterly basis, depending on how they pay their pay frequency.
Yeah.
And
Yes, that's it. That's
brilliant stuff. And why would you recommend Charterhouse as a payroll service provider?
I would actually say that Charterhouse actually goes a little bit further in terms of processing payroll for the clients. We add value in terms of communicating, as I've said before, what could potentially be a problem. So we prevent things from happening, and we also add value in terms of saying, you want to do this, but if you tried this, it actually meets not only your requirements as a business, but also helps the employee, because payroll isn't just about the employee, the employer and third parties, it's collectively the whole thing together. So we do, I think, personally, provide our clients with added value and potential clients.
So it's not just a process of, give me the information, here it is, end of. We're actually going deeper into it and providing
Correct.
them with that bespoke, tailored advice,
Yeah.
depending on their requirements.
Yeah.
And the more you're dealing with the clients, the more you're understanding their needs and what they're trying to achieve with their payroll service, and then you're able to give a lot more of a, should we say, premium service to the clients.
Yeah, I deem it that we're definitely approachable.
Definitely. And is payroll knowledge a skill, or what's the what makes someone a payroll person, should we say?
I would actually say it's a combination of skill, because you've got to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. And as much as a lot of people I hear say, you just press a button and it's calculated from gross to net, you need to understand the ramifications of how that happens. And if you don't understand or don't know how it works, then that is not a skill that you can just pick up by pressing a button. You really have to know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and be passionate about it, because then you'll understand it and prevent errors from occurring.
I think one of the great things that you've kind of taught me throughout the years is my own payslip, for example. You look at it, okay, that minus that, okay, great, but why that figure? How has that happened? And what's caused this? And certain things. And I think one of the great things you also mentioned is how if you don't pay people on time, that has a massive ramifications for people, right? So as an employer, you don't want your staff worrying, hang on, I haven't been paid today, what's happening?
Yeah,
right?
Correct.
That's not happened with Charterhouse doing their payroll.
No, touch wood, it hasn't.
So give an example of how Charterhouse payroll department interacts with kind of the organisation within Charterhouse and with the clients in order to kind of mitigate any potential problems and things like that.
Right, so for instance, if we do a payroll for a client for whom we know that our audit and accounts team do the auditing for that client, we make sure the reports that we generate are understood by our guys and they're easily interpreted and understood, so that it makes the audit process a lot easier in terms of the payroll area, because, you know, your payroll costs are huge and you want to make sure that they're right. So we communicate with our internal team, who in turn match what they have to do when they go out to the client to perform an audit. It should cut down the time that they spend asking questions.
So the client doesn't need to worry about, oh, does my payroll figures agree to this, because it's all done by us, which is great. Well, I think this next question is going to touch a bit of a nerve, but describe the word of payroll during COVID.
Oh gosh. Well, the world of payroll was very, very. Let's just say it's like firefighting. But it worked in terms of you knew what you had to do and why you had to do it. We didn't have to, but we did in terms of we wanted to do it. Support our clients who chose to offer furlough to their staff members. So as I'm sure you can appreciate, the direction that was being given by the government, we were having to work with and run parallel with it, research, develop it, process, production, etc., and make sure that we were doing it right, and also develop audit documents so that if, 5 years down the line, an external body wants to come in and say, well, how did you arrive at these figures, etc., we've got chapter and verse that supports everything that we've done. It was also good to know that the business, Charterhouse, senior management, associates, HR supported us to allow us to be able to work and function and produce the work that we could do, knowing that we were being supported. And that to me meant a lot.
That's great. And I think one of the key parts of, I think what you mentioned with furlough and payroll, and I didn't appreciate it until now, or until then, shall I say, was the number of changes that the government put through. I think you said to me it was over 100
It was
changes.
over 150 changes. And that was still counting. I mean, you were forever rolling forward, rolling back, not payroll-wise, but in terms of what you were reading, what you were interpreting, and making sure that those rules were applied to each furlough claim that you processed for a client.
And your layman businessman who's not payroll trained wouldn't understand all of these legislative changes.
Correct.
So if they were just running their payroll as normal, well, did you know that you was entitled to this, or you couldn't claim more than this?
Correct.
And all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and that's the advice that you was providing.
Correct.
On a pretty much a daily basis, 24/7 support line. It was like a helpline for clients at the time.
It really was. It was a time that I wouldn't want to repeat, but I know that, when you go through things like this, you create a lessons learned list of which, if an incident comes up like that before, you are prepared and ready, and to fall back on certain, tried, tested, and this works procedure. So I'm happy with that.
And yes, now we've kind of methods are proven. We know what we're doing when it comes to these kind of things, and we were able to support businesses to continue to employ their staff through such a terrible time, pretty much, wasn't it?
Definitely.
And if anyone listening today's kind of thought, okay, I kind of need a bit of support and guidance with my payroll software or payroll to my staff, full stop, how can a client get in touch with the payroll department and yourself, or Charterhouse in general?
Well, I think that I would direct them firstly to the Charterhouse website, Charterhouse Accountants website, and I think from there they can progress, because all the contact details are on there. You've got our main office number, and go through to the payroll department. And
they've obviously got a nice little bio of yourself on there if they want to learn more about Miss Lynch.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.